Hi, I'm Dave Epstein. This is Growing Wisdom. We're going to talk ferns today with Scott LaFleur from the New England Wildflower Society. And Scott, I know there are literally thousands and thousands of ferns in the world. There's hundreds in New England. So let's talk a few of your favorite varieties, some unique varieties, and what's the best way to grow some of the ferns?
Ferns have all sorts of different conditions they grow in. So we're actually standing in a limestone outcropping here at Garden in the Woods. So all the ferns growing in this area really like that alkaline soil. So things like the Maiden hair fern, the Hart's tongue fern, even this really cool one called a walking fern, which throws a tip out and starts to walk all over the limestone rocks. There are so many ferns, as you said, there are just thousands of them that they like all different conditions. And there are those that can take really dry conditions like the Hayscented Fern.
And if we went to the wetter areas, what fern would tend to like some moister soil?
New York fern, Marsh Fern, Massachusetts fern, those all really grow in some really nice moist areas.
So Scott, what if we were talking about tall ferns? Let's say someone wanted a fern for the back of the border. What's one of the taller ferns?
Cinnamon fern is a great one. It's a real architectural presence, really high to it, and has this really nice cinnamon brown stick that comes right up in the middle of it. So that's a great fern to have. Interrupted fern is also a fantastic one for that. Goldies Fern, which has a really nice sort of yellowed edges to it, which really makes a nice contrast to it. So one of the things you have to remember about ferns, and especially where you're planting them, it's a lot to do with texture and a lot to do with slight changes in the color of green, so you get a really different tapestry going all the time.
Can you use ferns in containers?
Oh, absolutely. Ferns in containers are fantastic. They're so easy to grow.
And will they come back? If you had a container that you could winter over, would the fern come back each year?
Absolutely. You could even have a really great fern like the Christmas fern, which is almost semi-evergreen. You could leave that in a container and that would look fantastic right up to around Christmas.
So there really is a fern for almost every habitat that somebody could possibly have.
Absolutely. And ferns are ancient. They're one of the oldest plants we have. They really date back to prehistoric times.
How many fern types do you have in the Garden in the Woods? Roughly.
Roughly, I would say we probably have about 50 species of ferns, at least at Garden in the Woods.
So folks could get a good idea of what they wanted to plant in their own garden by seeing what is in your garden.
Absolutely.
So ferns really are a great addition to any garden or a container, whether you have a small space or a large space.
Definitely.
There's no real excuse to not have a fern in your garden. Scott, thanks a lot. Appreciate it. Come back every week for all of our tips, hints, and helps at Growing Wisdom.